Good afternoon, everyone. It's exactly 12 o'clock, and so it's time for our meeting. I want to welcome everyone sincerely to this monthly seminar of the Center of Excellence in Migration and Global Studies of National Open University of Nigeria. I am Gloria Neto, the director of the center, and on behalf of the Vice Chancellor of the National Open University of Nigeria, Professor Olufemi Peters, I welcome you to yet another session in our monthly presentation at this Center of Excellence in Migration and Global Studies. In our usual practice, I'll just introduce the center briefly before the presenter of today, so that for those who have not heard about our center or are coming to this program for the first time, they will know what we do. So the Center of Excellence in Migration and Global Studies was started over 4 years ago with a seed fund from TED Fund. And it is in our prestigious university, the Center of Excellence in Migration and Global Studies of National Open University of Nigeria. And our business is migration and global issues, as our name implies. We have been mandated to provide leverage for field-based and solution-driven research, to serve as agent of national policy for migration studies, to seek grants for academic activities and outreach for sustainability, to publish and sustain peer-reviewed academic journal and monograph series. Of course, for our peer-reviewed academic journals, we have been waxing stronger and stronger. We have 2 issues in a year, 1 volume a year with 2 issues. And these are for the months of April and November. And I am pleased to tell you that this is the month of November. Our 2nd issue is on its way out. To collaborate with stakeholders in the field and policy makers, to organize occasional seminars, conferences, and public lectures. Well, as for seminars, it's no more occasional in the case of Center of Excellence. It is a very much often doing this monthly presentation. And for conferences, we had a workshop in February this year, 2024, and we are going to have an international conference on the 11th and 12th of February, 2025. And I'll tell you, it's going to be a big boom because so many people internationally and locally have shown interest in this conference. So by February 11th, all roads lead to the National Open University of Nigeria. So don't miss out, be part of it. Our abstract collection deadline is on the 15th of November, which is around the corner. So if you have not put up your paper, kindly do that fast. And you can now start to register for this conference. Everything is free of charge. And that is our own special hallmark. We are people who provide the needful at no cost. So that is to tell you briefly about this center. So as not to waste most of your time, I have today a good presenter here, a young man who has been able to come out to say, yes, I'm ready to present. Why I admire him before I start to introduce him is because he didn't wait to become a doctor or a professor before coming online here to present what he thinks he has for us in migration. And this is a great motivation for others. I would say they should try to copy this brilliant young man who is going to present to us today. And it's no other than Okoliko Emmanuel Ojonugwa. He's a distinguished academic staff in the Department of Business Administration, Faculty of Management Sciences at the National Open University of Nigeria. is our very own. He's, like I said, he's currently pursuing a PhD in human resources management. Of course, he has a master's in business administration and management, complemented by various certificates. He's an ambitious young man, so he takes part in many certificate courses to equip himself for the journey. And we are very proud of him to, taking that line. He's over a decade in academics, trying to get to that to the zenith of his academic career. He is exceptional in advancing open and distance learning. And this has earned him a prestigious letter of commendation from the university, recognizing his meritorious contributions to educational development in Nigeria. As a researcher and academic, Okoliko has made substantial contributions to scholarly discourse through publications in reputable local and international journals. His research presentations at various conferences and workshops demonstrate his commitment to advancing knowledge in his field. Okoliko, in his leadership acumen and strong communication skills, have been instrumental in various administrative roles, including program coordination and committee responsibilities. His commitment to excellence is evident in his approach to teaching, research, and administrative duties. He has earned recognition for his innovative contributions to online facilitation and e-learning development. He's a devout Christian and a family man. He successfully balances his professional pursuits with family life, being happily married and blessed with children. Yes, he's a man that I'm very proud of, and I'm happy he's here today. And today, he's going to be treating the Nigerian exodus, current and long-term implications. So let us listen to this erudite scholar on his own approach to treat this topic with us this afternoon. Over to you, Mr. Okoliko, and you have been given access to share your slides while we listen to your presentation. You are welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Aneto Gloria, the Director, Center of Excellence in Migration and Global Studies of the National Open University of Nigeria. Of course, I am grateful for this opportunity, this platform created by the Center and the National Open University of Nigeria. And so I must express my appreciation to the Vice Chancellor of the National Open University of Nigeria. I must appreciate very distinguished scholars who are here. My immediate past Vice Chancellor is here already, Professor Abdallah Adamu. Permit me, ladies and gentlemen, not to bore you with name callings now, but to stay with the existing protocol as has been acknowledged already, but to say that I am grateful for this rare opportunity and privilege to share my thoughts on this ongoing conversation of global nature, but with particular reference to the Nigerian experience. Like you said, talking about my own perspective or my point of view, casting my own compass to this whole conversation, which is not new to us, as the term migration from Nigeria or the Nigerian exodus has become a common rhetoric on the lips of discussants and the lips of scholars. Scholarship has a lot to say about immigration from Nigeria. And so this morning, I express my appreciation to the Center, to the university, to our distinguished scholars, and the entire audience online here to contribute and be part of this conversation. Thank you very much for the privilege and for the opportunity. Once again, my name is Okoliko Emmanuel Ojonugwa, and the topic of this presentation is the Nigerian exodus, current and long-term implications. The Nigerian exodus, current and long-term implications. Of course, when we hear exodus, The Christians will quickly remember the experience in the Bible, the Israelites, and it's about mass movement out of a particular region, a particular place. And so the Nigerian Exodus is not far from that kind of scene where you see mass movement, people moving away from the country. So the question of why we are talking about this will not be on the mind of any scholar this morning, because we already know that it is an ongoing conversation, but it is an unexhaustive conversation and is actually a continuous one. And so today, we converge on this platform to discuss a phenomenon that is currently reshaping the fabric of our nation, the unprecedented wave of migration from Nigeria. Our dear country, Nigeria, once proudly called and christened the giant of Africa, is today witnessing an exodus of its citizens on a scale that demands an urgent attention and an urgent analysis. Permit me at this juncture to share my slides so that we can flow together. Please do confirm if you can see my slide. The phenomenon of migration has increasingly captured the attention of scholars and policymakers alike, particularly in the context of Nigeria, where a significant number of citizens seek opportunities abroad. Everybody is thinking abroad, thinking abroad. If you divide from the research, the empirical studies, I found out that if you divide Nigeria into two hemispheres, the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere, virtually everybody in the southern hemisphere want to have somebody abroad. Virtually every compound, virtually every household, virtually every family want to have somebody like a representative abroad, which has become a source of concern that Nigerians are more concerned about going abroad and living and living and living. Something is fundamentally wrong. And this is an agreement, of course, in agreement with the findings of Adepoju in 2010, who said that this trend is propelled by a myriad of factors, including economic instability, political unrest, and a deteriorating security concern. Security conditions and situations are deteriorating by the day, by the moment. The literature underscores that the desire for better living conditions, educational opportunities like better facilities abroad across the shores of Nigeria, and employment prospects that we feel are there, available over there, drive many Nigerians to migrate, or better still, fuel the exodus. Now, we have certain trends found from our empirical studies and empirical, of course, whatever we're discussing here this morning is based on review of existing literatures and empirical studies. Recent studies show that there is a significant increase in the number of Nigerians migrating, particularly among youths and skilled professionals. Of course, this is not news to any of us. This is also propelled by a myriad of factors, including economic stability, political unrest, and all of that. It's also not news to all of us, because we know this. These are common trends today. The term Japa, I went to find out. I'm not a Yoruba man, so I had to find out from my Yoruba friends. What does this term Japa mean? And they say Japa, because I say I don't want to go with literatures or whatever has been put online, but let's talk to ourselves one-on-one. What does the term Japa mean? And they say Japa means to run away. Japa means to escape. Oh. And this term, Japa, has become increasingly popular, reflecting the cultural shift as associated with this particular trend, which symbolizes the desire for better living conditions outside your immediate location. And that's going abroad. Once upon a time, it was UK. Everybody must have it represented in UK. All of a sudden, we had a switch when policies started changing in UK. It became Canada. At the point we're almost feeling that we're beginning to have tents in Canada, build tents in Canada. We're going to suggest that universities in Nigeria should begin to build centers in Canada, because virtually everybody were going to Canada. And then policies started responding again to the move, because of course we know that when demand begins to rise, of course, when demand is over and above supply, policies will have to change. Now, you can see pictures. If you can see my slide now, you see a Nigerian who is displaying his card, his passport. I want to leave. Can I shock you? Many of these persons who bear these cards, who bear these passports, do not even have the financial muscle, the financial capacity to travel out of here to Ghana. But because they are something somewhere is pressing someone. And I'm told that when they go to press to the wall, they go to bite. And so people are so frustrated. People want to move. People just want to leave. They have made up their mind. They just want to go to the embassies, go to immigration offices, and go to airports. And you see these scenes. You see people who are saying bye-bye, but they're not happy. They do not want to go, but they just have to go. But something somewhere is fundamentally pushing these people to say, I want to leave. We can see luggages from my screen. People want to leave, symbolizing Nigerians who want to get out. The question is why? These are the begging questions we want to ask. In a report published by Global Investor in July 2024, this year, a few months ago, the central bank governor himself, Olayemi Cardoso, conceded that the inflow of foreign currencies from Nigerians living abroad form a key part of the strategy of the monetary authorities to improve foreign exchange liquidity and to strengthen the value of the naira. That speaks volume. That means even government, the CBN governor, is in recognition of the fact that there is mass exodus and that the country is currently reaping and gaining from this mass exodus because they fly out of Nigeria and they're able to send in some dollars. And then when it meets the current state of our own notes, the figure becomes something juicy. In February alone, there was an inflow of $1.3 billion in Nigerian diaspora remittances, most of it chasing short-term government securities in the wake of a high rate of interest. And this is extracted from CBN official report. Because like I said, whatever we're discussing is based on literature review, based on scholarly review, based on documents. This trend, often referred to as the japa in popular culture, is not just a hashtag anymore. It's not just a passive phase anymore. It represents a profound shift in our national narrative, and it poses critical questions about our future as a nation. The scenes you see at the immigration offices, the embassies, the airports are familiar to many of us. You see long queues, come to the embassy, people jumping queues, jumping and all of that. You see people queuing up and you feel, what is wrong? Everybody just wants to go away. And then you go to the airports and you see tearful goodbyes. The Murtala Mohammed Airport and the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, visit that place and see how people, you see the tearful goodbyes. When I say tearful goodbye, I refer to a scenario where the man who is leaving is not even willing to be detached from his family. I have a friend who left Nigeria. But before he left, the wife had to go. And when the wife left, he had to stay with young children who were supposed to receive the complete parental care and attention, were left with just one man. And this same man, when the coast was a bit clearer to them, he had to join the wife and had to push these kids to a relative to stay with for some time. And when the coast became clearer again, they had to push the children to join them. Can you imagine that scenario? Because we just must leave. Also, go to WhatsApp, go to the various social media, avalanche of the social media, where we have the WhatsApp, the blogging sites, and all of that. You come and you see WhatsApp groups, you see blogging sites, you see posting everywhere, where people tell you the advantages of moving out of this place, or the best route. Why has it become increasingly popular that you go on the social media, go to WhatsApp, go to the blogging sites, and you see people advertising how to get out quickly, how to get out easily, the easiest way to get out of this place. You have been struggling, you want to go? Oh, this is your best bet. Join me in this webinar. Join me in this interaction, in this session. I'll teach you how to get out of this country. But beyond these visible signs lies a complex web of causes and consequences, and that is what we are set to unravel. Now, you can see Nigerians living by all means. Yeah, I say living by all means. There are people burying their head, their faces. These are Nigerians in diaspora being deported back to Nigeria. Nigerians in Libya. Libya is not supposed to be a place that is juicy that a Nigerian should be thinking of going to stay. Libya is by far smaller than we, the giant of Africa. But these are people being deported from Libya. It is a sorry state. Yet, we see people with their baggages. They are still living. Their minds are made. They want to go. We must go. Something is fundamentally wrong. And that leads us to the begging questions. The begging questions. Why are so many Nigerians, particularly our youths and professionals, choosing to leave? Another begging question is, what does this mean for our own day economy, our social structures, and our place on the global stage? Most importantly, what are the implications of this trend, both in the present and the future for Nigeria and for Nigerians? In this presentation this morning, ladies and gentlemen, we delve into these questions to see how we can examine the immediate impact of this migration, this mass exodus in Nigeria, on the economy, on our society, our social life, on our political life, and our political space in the global, general global space. Our presentation this morning casts a gaze beyond the horizon to understand the long-term consequences of this trend, the Nigerian exodus. From brain drain to remittances, from changing family dynamics to shifts in our national development narrative, as the so-called new Nigerian dream is increasingly, to me, or I would say, seemingly being realized beyond the shores of Nigeria. We have the Nigerian dream, but is there a change in narrative that the new Nigerian dream is now going to be realized outside the shores of Nigeria, that we cannot realize our dream here? Is that the question? That's the begging question here. My presentation this morning, ladies and gentlemen, seeks to explore these current and long-term implications of mass migration from Nigeria. A lot may have been said in the past, but let me bear my mind. Let me share my thoughts, drawing on existing literature to highlight the complexities of this issue and the urgent need for a comprehensive policy response in this regard. And that's why I call it a clarion call. We'll get there. As we progress through this conversation this morning, I urge all of us to consider not just the challenges this trend presents, but also the opportunities. Oh yes, the opportunities, the gains, like we heard the CBN governor mention, acknowledge, to consider, it may offer to us as Nigerians and to Nigeria as a nation. How can we as a nation respond to this phenomenon in a way that secures a brighter future, that's sustainability now, for Nigeria and for Nigerians, both for those who are living and for those who are remaining? Somebody told me that those who are left in Nigeria are those who have no opportunities, that they are here because of dearth of opportunity. Is that supposed to be correct? Even if it's correct, I leave that question to be answered on your own mind. Join me, ladies and gentlemen, as we continue this conversation to critically explore Nigeria's present circumstance and the future prospects in the face of unprecedented migration, what I term in this conversation the Nigerian exodus. Now, the first begging question we want to attend to is, why are so many Nigerians, particularly our youths, in the productive age? My knowledge in economics, which is also basic, shows that there's something called product life cycle. There is a point of viability. There's also the life cycle for labor. Marginal productivity of labor, it rises, gets to a point, and then begins to drop. At that peak, where we're supposed to get all the gains, reap all the gains from our population, from the productive population, it's at that point that majority of these persons begin to emigrate from our dear nation. And that is why it forms the number one begging question in this conversation this morning. First and foremost, let's look at it from the economic perspective, because economy is power. You must survive first and foremost before you can begin to thrive. Before you grow, you should be alive, first and foremost. That's why the earnest desire of any mama, any human, anybody born is, first of all, to look for breast milk. The baby is born and he wants to survive. You have to survive, first and foremost. As that is the issue. We begin from the economic side. A man who has no money in his pocket, my friend will always tell me that a man who has no money in his pocket is not qualified to engage or involve himself in any form of decision making. That as long as there's no money in your pocket, run away. And a popular musician say, if you don't get money, hide your face. Sorry. Ladies and gentlemen, a situation where high rates of unemployment, particularly among our youths, drive many to seek job opportunities outside the shores of Nigeria. When they tell you that there are a lot of jobs over there. For instance, you go abroad and you see that we are more connected than the white man. The white man may not have the time, the luxury of time to all the time give attention to the old, the aged, the whatever, who are supposed to be their relatives, their brothers, their sisters. But here, even if you are my distant cousin, I do not address you as cousin by our culture, but I address you as a brother. And because you are a brother, even if it is contrary to the dictionary meaning of a brother or a sister, you know, I call you brother. And because I call you brother, it becomes a crime. It becomes a crime for me not to attend to you when you are sick or when you are old. But the white man is too busy to give that attention. And he has found Nigerians, found the black man who is so stranded and is interested in doing all sorts of jobs. And they tell you, even as a director where you are, even as a senior officer where you are, a senior staff wherever you are, just come in and you do caregiver jobs, do menial jobs here, carry paper around for people here. And then we'll pay you in dollars. We'll pay you in dollars and you send $1,000 and that money makes another person richer with 6 digits. We have a situation where even when jobs are available, the wages often do not match the cost of it, prompting individuals to look for better paying jobs in other countries. When you search and search and cannot find again, you need to look abroad. You need to look outside, because what you are paid, even when the white man comes here to establish a company, for instance, he sees our situation and the vulnerability of our environment will influence whatever the white man is willing to offer. That is in terms of multinationals. And so whatever wages are going to offer is not commensurate with what should boost or provide for the purchasing power of the worker per time, given existing realities that the worker is expected to grapple with per time. Again, from the economic perspective, there is this persistent inflation rise, currency devaluation, and lack of economic growth. All this create challenging environment for many, not for many, for all of us, almost all of us. That inflation rates keep rising. Since I was born, I haven't witnessed, I haven't seen a situation where we have food inflation as high as we have today, almost approaching 50%. I haven't heard, I haven't seen since I was born. It may have happened before I was born. I have not seen, I have not experienced one. And so these situations are enough promptings. The primary driver of migration from Nigeria is economic hardship. That again is in agreement, in alignment with the findings of Adebayo in 2018, who highlights that high unemployment rates, inflation, and lack of job opportunities compel so many Nigerians to seek better prospects abroad. The Global Migration Report in 2020 supports this assertion too, noting that economic migrants often live in search of higher wages and improved living standards, particularly in Europe and in North America. Now, let's start our gaze to the political side. Political side. Looking at our political side now, we are delving into our scenario that has landed us on a crossroad. I call it crossroad. Why do I call it a crossroad? It's a crossroad because we have widespread corruption within government and within our institutions. And this, of course, is of common knowledge that it will undermine trust. Trust is increasingly being eroded. There's no trust in leadership. There's no trust in governance. Oh, can I shock you? In 1 week, the national grid collapsed 2 times in 1 week in your country and in my country. And that happened after the federal government set up a committee to review, to intervene, an intervention committee. With the intervention, we had a collapse 2 times in 1 week. That means in the absence of that intervention, we may have had it like 4 times in 1 week. That alone will water down any form of trust I may have or confidence I may have in leadership. So if the leader comes again to say, I want to provide this next week, I'm not going to have that confidence until I see. Then we all become doubting Thomases. We have also reached the milestone. We have successfully arrived. The milestone where issues such as terrorism, ethnic violence, and general lawlessness create an unsafe living environment, pushing people to leave for safer countries. Because, like I said, you must live before you leave. Because one day, all of us will go. What about educational opportunities and facilities? Beyond social, beyond economic and political factors. There is also the case of educational facilities who are so behind, so far away. Many Nigerians seek higher education opportunities abroad, where institutions may offer better resources, better facilities, and global recognition. So people want to go and take advantage of these facilities that are available. Even if you have to pay through your nose, at least you know that these are available to you, and get the gains. The demand for higher education often exceeds supply in Nigeria. Let us not confuse issues. There's a gap between multiplicity, proliferation of institutions, of universities, and all of that, bringing them up every day, both private and all of that, even when they meet standard or not. There's a gap between that scenario and the actual quality, actual delivery. How far is it true to say that we're not just doing shadow dressing to get accreditation year in, year out, but that we actually are delivering quality, delivering the goods as it is the rubrics of the academy. What about healthcare? Inadequate healthcare facility and services drive individuals to seek countries with better healthcare system and access to medical care. Today, we have government institutions who are, in fact, where we are supposed to have FOC, we're supposed to have attention at a very quick, on a very quick demand. But what we have today, it is common knowledge that you go to an institution, a health facility owned by government, run by government, yet you realize that you have to join long queues unless you can pay more. And then when you can pay more, you go to join the VIP and you have to join a very long queue too to be attended to by who? Probably a general doctor who's going to attend to a matter of that demands special attention. A general doctor coming to treat all forms of ailments. People want to go. What about the colonial mentality? Everybody wants to leave because it's always greener out there. It's always better out there. Money is found on the streets. You can just come to the street and begin to pick money. It's always better. The white man is always better. Have you not seen the scenario where we have the white man and the black man? The white man represents Jesus Christ or represents God, as the case may be. The black man represents the devil. And so it is always better on the other side. The colonial mentality is also something else that is driving people. What about the awareness? The world is increasingly shrinking, reducing, collapsing by the day. And so people access to information about opportunities abroad, the avalanche of social media, the various platforms that we have, encourages individuals to consider emigration. Existing communities of Nigerian migrants who are already abroad, they continue to provide support services. We're going to provide a way for people to also move. And because we see opportunity, we rush to grab the opportunities that we find. Again, there was a study carried out by Okunade SK in 2023. And in their study, their finding revealed that the state of insecurity in Nigeria has heightened the fear of many Nigerians. And this continues to manifest in the form of hijacking, kidnapping, armed robbery, and so on and so forth. These, we can name them because the list is endless. But because of time, I will not continue to dwell on this begging question about why Nigerians are resolved to leave. If we have another opportunity again, we'll continue this conversation to talk about why the whys are endless. The answers to these whys, the response to these whys are endless. But if we continue with the whys of this begging question, we will not proceed to the second begging question, which is paramount. That's about the implications of this mass exodus, the implications both in the present and in the future for Nigeria and for Nigerians, both for those living abroad and those here with us. Let us begin first and foremost from the economic perspective. From the economic point of view, the United Nations Economic and Social Affairs in 2021 says that a significant are young adults. This one is just to give authority to what we already know. They're actually young adults, and primarily between the ages of 18 and 35. This is according to their report. But I'm sure that none of us can disagree with this position. You know, we can only add flesh to it because it's of common knowledge. This age group represents the educated. It represents the skilled workforce that is often lost to the industrial. It's lost to us. And this leads to a phenomenon known as the brain drain, the popular brain drain. According to Bolaria in 2020, this demographic shift does not only affect the labor market, but also it affects the socio-economic development of Nigeria. Once again, I say it is only here to add credence to our conversation, but it's common knowledge. As educated individuals leave for better opportunities abroad, critical sectors such as healthcare, engineering, and education suffer from the shortage of qualified personnel. Doctors are trained today, young doctors. And as they're graduating, all of them are going abroad. I have a friend who attended the graduation ceremony and the graduation ceremony. I asked this girl, "What's your plan going forward?" She said, "No, we're living here. The plan is not to stay here. Everybody just wants to leave." So if you are trained, what about the effort reward principle? What about the investment and output, input output analysis? Whatever we are put in goes to add value to another country, goes to add value, it is indeed lost to Nigeria. I remember also, and I want to remind you because I know we could recall because it was news, it made news that time. In 2018, a physician of Nigerian origin, this guy known as Dr. Oloyinka Olutoye, achieved a rare surgical feat. You may have forgotten, if you have not heard before, it's an opportunity to hear. That he successfully operated on an unborn baby. He brought out the fetus from the mother, operated on the lump that was developed on the fetus, pushed back the baby, and the baby was born. Some persons say the baby was born twice. So he operated on the unborn baby. He struggled, this same man struggled here in Nigeria with meager resources to acquire his medical degree from the prestigious Obafemi Awolowo University in Ile-Ife. Yet, he had to struggle. He clambered, he climbed, only to go outside the shores of Nigeria, to go and shine somewhere in the US. And shine in the US means adding value to another economy and probably send a few dollars to us here in Nigeria in the name of what? Remittances. And then we begin to depend on remittances. That pushes me to the next track of the economic implication or the economic perspective to this conversation. Why? Because monies are sent to us, you know, relatives abroad send us $1,000 and we convert to our naira that is so devalued, you know, it becomes very big figure before us. And then we can sit tight and say that we are making progress. The money from remittances is adding to our GDP, is growing our economy. Oh, yes. According to World Bank report in 2022, migration leads to positive economic contributions through remittances, which is estimated at over $24 billion annually. Remittances from the Nigerians living abroad reached $20 billion in 2023, according to the World Bank, slightly lower than $21 billion a year earlier. and still about a third of the entire flows of sub-Saharan Africa for the entire year. Migration has led to immediate economic benefits through remittances, which constitute a vital source of income for many families and contribute significantly to the GDP of Nigeria. That's also according to official report by the World Bank and by the CBN. However, they saw the world, although remittances support families and also support the economy, they may also create a reliance on external financial inflows, potentially stalling local economic development initiatives. Also, fluctuations in global economic conditions could jeopardize this remittance stream, even if we begin to have them now. And so it has gross economic implications for Nigeria. So no nation all over the world, no nation would dwell on remittances from another country. Rather grow your economy and make it actually here. You can grow your own economy. Socially, this exodus has resulted in changes in family structures and community dynamics. Many families are left fragmented. I've talked so much about that already. Culturally, too. Okay. Let's like from the cultural. The migration of the youth and continue to cultural erosion as they assimilate into foreign culture, and then they eventually abandon their own traditional values. We can go on and on. Again, look at the political side. Look at political implications. The high rate of migration, this mass exodus, can signal deep political dissatisfaction among citizens, and that can culminate into what we refer to as political unrest. It will lead to some form of mobilization, activism, a protest will come from here and there, because people now need to call for accountability, transparency from government, and all these pose challenges. So to mitigate the effect of migration, Nigerian government may also face pressure to bring up reform policies and all of that. Now, looking at demographic implications, as younger generations in search of better opportunities. Oh, my screen. Yes, we are there. Thank you. You can see my screen, Prof. Okay. Yes, so we are saying that there are demographic implications. As younger generations migrate in search of a better opportunity, Nigeria may face a demographic shift, a major shift, characterized by an aging population and a shrinking workforce. Because where are the workers? Who is there to work again? Because it's now an aging workforce. You have very old people available, or children who have not seen opportunities yet. So the workforce is gradually, they see the ongoing migration to alter Nigeria's national identity and social fabric as the population becomes more dispersed and globalized, losing our own roots. Now the clarion call. I have to race through this presentation because the time allotted to me is actually very short. And so I have to race through it. So I move very quickly to the clarion call. What must we do? We must act fast. We must do something at this point. And so as we journey through the complexities of mass migration from Nigeria, it is crucial at this point that we mobilize our collective efforts to address these pressing issues. The implications of this migration trend are profound. They are affecting our economy, our social structures, our political dynamics have been affected by this mass exodus, a source of worry. People are stranded over there. Yet people say they want to go, they want to leave. Many Nigerians have left here. They are just shame will not let them come back. Many are not finding it funny. Some are being deported. Some are crying. Some are shouting. Yet people want to go, want to leave. This matter has been overflowed, and the conversation will continue. However, the clarion call is that we must rise to action. We must, as a matter of policy, engage policymakers to create immigration frameworks that address the needs of skilled professionals while also protecting vulnerable populations. Policies should encourage talent retention and create pathways for those who wish to return to Nigeria. Yes, there should be pathways for those who are willing to return. The same way we have people who go to prison and then they come back and create a niche for them. Let them see that there are opportunities here. Oh my God, it is better in this place at home than over there. But because of the situation we have found ourselves, that is why it is an enigma. Why would people want to leave their home where they have their father, their mother, and the first child wakes up and says he wants to leave to become a slave to another man, another man's household? And then another person comes again and wants to leave again and go and become a slave. Why? And so we must do something. Apart from we must also policies that will help to encourage people to stay back and those who want to come here. We must also implement policies that will incentivize, because you don't just let people stay, but you incentivize. There should be create incentives that will encourage businesses to hire locally, particularly in critical sectors like the healthcare, education, and technology. These to largest, but also will enhance the quality. Oh yes, we must again, first and foremost, integrate into our reform policies and our agenda and our leadership equation the variables of effort and reward. Where is effort and reward principle? Where do we find it in our models? We should have this effort and reward. Why would someone be in Nigeria, slave and slave and slave and slave, and cannot put one block in his father's compound? Yeah, this man steps out and is being appreciated. And we keep chanting the chorus of Nigerians are doing well abroad. Nigerians are doing well abroad. Nigerians are ambassadors, good ambassadors abroad. Why can't they be ambassadors from here at home? So we must incentivize. We must create incentives so that it can boost. And so the leadership must rise to action, rise to the call for incorporating into the leadership equation or the delivery equation effort reward principle. That is, the reward you are getting should be commensurate with how much you have invested. Seemingly be realized, like I mentioned earlier, outside the bound. We must create programs for and small businesses through grants, trainings, and mentorship all over the world, even in Western Europe. It is these small businesses that help. It's the small businesses that help actually to sustain the economy. We must create programs that support startups within our local economy. We must invest in essential infrastructure such as transportation, energy, technology, all these. By the time transport is set to reasonable extent, energy is provided. Oh, I mentioned earlier, 2 times in 1 week, national grid broke down, collapsed, even with all interventions. So if you have not solved the problem of power, for instance, you have left a very big vacuum that will also leave us in this macabre dance, the rigmarole. We must invest in technology. Technology is the in thing now. In thing. We must spend money. You know, it's a trend. And this will significantly bolster economic activities, commercial activities. And when commercial activities and economic activities are bolstered, they are enhanced. When they are everywhere, you know, they will attract both local and foreign community. Then, community programs that assist families who experience separation due to migration is key. These can include counseling services, educational support for children, and community building activities to foster social ties. We are losing it gradually. We are losing it. We must, as a matter of fact, foster networks that connect the Nigerian diaspora with the local initiatives, allowing them to contribute their own expertise, resources, and capital to development of Nigeria and the Nigerian project. Developing incentives for diaspora members to and infrastructure projects would also create a mutually beneficial relationship that promotes national growth, which is also sustainable. Because whatever we're discussing here should be about sustainable development. It's not just development to eat today, eat all, but sustainable development, our own national life, so that we can bear our name, the giant of Africa. Now, we must also, as a matter of fact, prioritize, not just on paper, but in reality, in practical terms, was pragmatic and proactive in prioritizing initiatives that educate citizens about the impacts of migration. People should really understand the rubrics, the intricacies of migrating. First and foremost, the cost of migrating, then when you migrate, how you survive over there, how life, the comparative analysis in terms of how life is over there, the levels of discrimination and all of that. We must check the impact and effect. Impact is in the immediate. Effect is when an impact refuses to disappear, it becomes an effect. Now, all of this must be factored in. Many persons have very bad orientation as they want to leave Nigeria. And so we must also give that orientation. But how do we give orientation where the institutions that are even supposed to handle all of this? I am not interested in mentioning names, but permit me just for the first time to say, National Orientation Agency, when was the last time we heard from you? Please, on your own minds, because I do not have them. I'm missing them. Collaboration between government, NGOs, the private sector, and local communities would also help develop comprehensive strategies that will address the challenges that come with this mass exodus. We must establish forums for open dialogue where stakeholders can share insights, share their experiences, like we are doing here. The Center of Excellence in Migration and Global Studies deserve kudos, not just from the National Open University of Nigeria, which is a host, but from the entire nation, because this center provides a platform for continuous conversation, continuous discussion, continuous interaction on this subject matter. And I attended one of the lectures, one of the workshops organized by this center, where people, both virtually and physically, were present to talk about their own real-time experience abroad and in Nigeria. So people, ladies and gentlemen, on this note, and in a nutshell, let us try to draw the curtain because we want to manage our time. I do not want to offend Professor Aneto, so I want to race through very quickly. The phenomenon of mass migration from Nigeria presents both immediate challenges and long-term implications that demand our urgent attention. As we have explored so far, if we have missed out of any point, this is the time to get a summary of whatever we have dealt with, the take-home from here. The drivers of migration are rooted in economic instability, political unrest, and social factors impact not only the individuals who live, but also the families, communities, and the nation as a whole, Nigeria. The economic consequences of the Nigerian exodus, including brain drain and dependency on remittances, which is an evil economic seed, in the long run. In the short run, it could be wonderful, but in the long run, economic seed threaten the sustainability of local economies and critical sectors. Socially, the disruption of family structures and cultural erosion, all this risk weakening the very fabric of whatever we call Nigeria as a community, as a political entity, and also as a social coinage. All this bring about discontent and disconnect among citizens both here and abroad. This compels us to address major critical governance and leadership issues. That's where the clarion call comes in. However, amid these challenges lies an opportunity for transformation. Oh yes, by implementing comprehensive policy reforms, investing in local economic development, strengthening community support systems, engaging with our diaspora, and raising awareness about migration issues. All this can help create a more favorable environment. I tell you, if the environment becomes favorable, nobody wants to leave and become a slave for the white man over there. It will also retain talents for us here, talent retention, and that will also foster, because it's a flow, the multiplier effect will be beneficial to all of us. That will be growth and stability in our system. As we move forward, it is critical, it is crucial, it is sacrosanct that stakeholders, government, civil society, and the private sector, and even all of us as citizens collaborate to craft and execute strategies that address the root causes of migration, what we call today in this presentation the Nigerian mass exodus. Together, we can harness the potentials of our people and ensure that Nigeria remains a land of opportunity, and we will rekindle the hope that the Nigerian dream is realizable and will be realizable not elsewhere, but here in Nigeria. We must embrace this clarion call to action, and we must commit ourselves to building a brighter future for our nation, where every Nigerian has the chance to thrive and to thrive at home. Once again, I express my appreciation, heartfelt appreciation to the Vice Chancellor of National Open University of Nigeria, the Director, Center of Excellence for Migration and Global Studies, Professor Aneto Gloria, and I appreciate all distinguished scholars present here this morning for the time to bear my mind, to share my thoughts on this very critical ongoing conversation. Thank you very much, and thank you again.
Thank you very much, Mr. Okoliko, for that wonderful presentation. I enjoyed every bit of your presentation, and I said the time is enough after all. You see, if I had given you a longer time, maybe you would have been repeating most of the things more than you did. So you are just fine because you spent maybe 2 minutes above the time that I gave you, but that's fine. So well
My
done.
sincere apologies, please.
Thank you so much. I mean, it was a good one, and I'm sure many people will want to make comments or ask questions. I want to advise you that in our usual practice, you get a paper and pen. You just note each person's name and comment or question so that you take them at the end. Or when we have enough, we ask you to, answer those, and then we add more. So it's for us to have enough time to discuss your paper. It's just 1 now, and you started a little after 12, and then we are good. So the first hand I saw up, let me sincerely welcome Professor Uba Adamu. It's been a long time, sir. You are welcome, and I'm happy you are here to see your very own presenting one of us. So you are welcome. We've missed you, sir, but we are happy to have you back. You are welcome. And then I must say, Professor Sogolo, Emeritus
thank you.
Sogolo.
Thank you, Prof. I'm sorry, my video seemed to be off on the main laptop, so that's why I'm watching it from my phone.
Okay, sir.
I had wanted to be the first to raise my hand, but unfortunately, some other people beat me to it.
Yes, 2 people have raised up.
So I would like to be the third
Number
one.
3.
I'm sorry,
No,
I can't.
No.
Actually, I would like to.
Sorry.
No, sir, no
May
problem.
I quickly intervene? Actually, Professor Adamu was the first. He was using the physical hand before Dr. Danjuma and before Professor Akinwale. I was watching.
Okay, physical hand. You were watching. Okay, so with
Yes.
that, we'll not take the
I
position
told
to
not to
become
raise hand
first.
for now. Thank you.
Okay, we take Professor Abdallah as number 1, Professor Akinwale as number 2, and Professor Danjuma as number 3. And of course, Professor Sijani will now be number 4. Thank you. I hope you don't mind. Okay.
No, I'm okay with that. I'm just raising up my hand now.
Okay. I just want to say Professor Sogolo sent his sincere apologies. He's on the journey. These are the people we always see come sun, come rain on this platform. And so we must appreciate them. Thank you so much. Okay, over to you, sir. Professor Abdallah.
Thank you, Director. I would like to thank you for that. I'm very sorry I have been missing from most of the presentation. That is because I'm Almajiri, and Almajiri are always wandering all over the place. So I'm here, I'm there, and so on and so forth. I just returned from China. So I had a few hours before my lecture, which is starting at 2 o'clock. Now, the presentation by Professor Emmanuel Okolaiko, okay, it's very good. And thank you very much, Professor Emmanuel, for acknowledging me. However, I have a series of issues. Again, as usual with some of these presentations, they tend to be, I say, speculative. That's the word, speculative, in the sense of saying what should be, what should not be, what should be, and what should not be. And he raised some issues, which I consider his research question issues. And these are to do with his asking, why do we leave? Why do we japa? Why do we go away? And so on. I think why so many Nigerians, particularly our youth and professionals, choose to leave. What does it mean for our economy, our social structure, and our place on the global village? What are the implications of this migration, and so on? But you have already explained why they want to leave. The explanation is fairly straightforward. I mean, you have told us exactly why they are leaving, why they want to leave. They are leaving simply because the economic situation in the country is very hard. That is not really groundbreaking in my view. So they are leaving because, as you diagnosed, the natural grid has collapsed so many times in this year. So people are just eager to get out of the country. No job, no this, no that. So we already know all this. And at the same time, the conclusion, you gave recommendations of what to do. These recommendations are already there in the National Policy on Migration that this forum actually sat down and looked at some time ago. I think about last year, we sat down and analyzed each that. So the policy is there for government to prevent people from leaving. But national greed is not improved, but national grid is the one that is collapsing. So national greed is not collapsing, but national grid is collapsing. And this is the situation that everybody finds himself in. If we all decide to leave because of the national greed, as well as the collapse of the national grid, and then the country will be empty. But at the same time, I would have loved to know specifically the statistics for exodus, because there are a lot of there is a lot of gray migrations, you know, improper migration. But you kept giving the impression that the entire country is living. And I don't know how many people out of all these millions that we have that we could say are actually significant enough to even affect the country. And that, so that is the basic problem with my problem with your paper. And then, if again the figures that you quote from the central bank are true, then we want more people to migrate. This is because according to the figures you gave, which you took from central bank, Nigerians remit $1.3 billion. How do these $1 billion find their way into the economy? And if that is the case, that they are remitting huge amount of money, then what we need to do is to encourage more people to leave, because then they will be bringing in more dollars. But I'm sure the amount of dollars Professor Tijani is remitting from Washington is not enough to provide electricity in his village. Okay, it might be enough for him to build a second house where he can put a second wife when he comes for occasional holidays, but not really significant enough. So how did we arrive at this 1.3 billion? Of course, you can't answer the question. The reason why you can't answer the question is because those figures do not emanate from you. You are quoting public figures. And I would like to know, though, if I run a country that every year or a certain period of time, I get $1.3 billion from people who have left, I will encourage more people to leave, because that money that they are sending will be helping towards the economy. So that's another thing that I am worried with that. I would have loved for you to conduct a live interview with a migrant, live, so that you have data about what they feel, how they are treated. Because all this going out, you see them going with their boxes. It's probably because they're not really migrant as such, because they were recruited in Canada, in London, and so on. But now you have Conservative Party leader in the UK who hates Nigerians more than the Nigerians hate themselves. Because the woman was quoted as saying that she's trying to prevent England from becoming the country that she left. So that means even those who migrated and were successful outside the country are not true representatives of Nigeria, because they are not reflecting Nigeria in a good light. This woman is supposed to have said she is proud that she's a Nigerian, and that she is proud as a Black woman, as an African woman, has come into a country that has colonized us, and now it's a leader of a Conservative Party in that country. It's an achievement. And therefore, her pride in her roots should be something that you can look at as positive engagement of migration. And Nigeria has also been elected, in their Senate or House of Representatives in Australia. We have Nigerians in the parliament in Poland. I mean, I would have loved to see case studies of these live examples of the positive aspect of migration, because we know that migrants who live Nigeria in a very irregular route tend to face racism, they tend to face discrimination, and so on. Let me give you an example. I was in China last week, and three of us, two blacks and one Chinese, were in the team. The Chinese left us temporarily to go and answer a phone call. It's on the road, on the street. But he had already plugged down a taxi. And by the time the taxi man arrived, the Chinese has just stepped aside to answer a call. So when the Chinese driver came and saw us, two blacks, dressed in African clothes, he just zoomed off. He didn't even stop. Why? Because we are black. Maybe. He wasn't comfortable. And the two of us are professors. The guy doesn't know who we are. He doesn't know where we come from. But he's so black, and as far as he's concerned, black is bad. This is the kind of problem that we are facing. Last week, Donald Trump won the election in the US, and he was coming back again for a second term. And the following day, texts were sent to black people that they have been chosen to work in a plantation. It means harking back to slavery. These are the kind of horrible experiences that we need to know, which we had conducted a live interview. And we're trying to do that ourselves. There are Hausa people in Libya, in Algeria, in Mauritania, and so on. My God, my security just ran off. The guy was from Niger, and he just ran off to Algeria. It was tough. He was deported back last year. He came back. We re-engaged him. And now he has run off again to Algeria. What is it about Algeria that enables people to withstand all the racism and so on? These guys now are sharing their experiences on TikTok and other social media platforms. Confess that to find out what is it really like. So these are some of the problems. And then again, part of what I also find about this data is that we are in danger of aging population. I don't think so. I mean, with people having 3 wives, 4 wives, and a whole bunch of additional wives outside, there's no doubt, there's no problem on aging population, like in Japan, where people are getting older and older because the younger people are either not marrying or they are leaving or something like that. No matter how many people live in Nigeria, I can guarantee you will never reach that particular aging population. So long as we have people like Professor Tijani having additional wives all over the place. Maybe there's one in Washington, one in Nigeria. So how could we have aging population? Because more kids are being produced almost every day. So this is my brief observation about that. I will have loved more live interviews with people that you are in contact with. I would have loved to know more about what they actually do over there, how they live their lives, whether they are happy, because the people who japa are not necessarily happy. I mean, in Dubai, for instance, about 10 to 15 of them jumped in a small room, and that has been captured in many films. All the bright lights, for instance, that shows how immigrants live in Dubai. Despite all this idea that it's a fantastic place. So, Professor Okulaiko, I think your presentation is a wake-up call. It keeps reminding us of how we got to where we are. But unfortunately, we all know how we got to where we are. We'll have a situation where we'll have 24-hour electricity. We'll have a situation where we want the national grid to collapse, not the national grid. We'll have that particular situation. We'll have a situation where when you graduate, you have a lot of jobs. We don't want a situation where a professor doesn't have a job, he was kicked out or something like that, and he goes over there and was sweeping the street. We wouldn't want that situation. But unfortunately, this is reality. This is the life we live through. This is the life we live, and this is the life we have to deal with. In my view, I try to locate somebody in Italy, Vienna, Australia, Washington, and ask them about their experiences. Let it flow. Let us hear what they have to say. That will be a vivid representation of the Japan experience. But you tried your best, and I like that. You have a passion for your views, and you express them very, very strongly. Congratulations, and well done. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for that contribution, which I know will make our presenters work better, and let's hear from others. So over to you, Professor Akinwale.
Okay, thank you very much. So I thank the presenter, Mr. Okoliko Emmanuel, for his interest in this very important subject matter. The first concern that I observe is the topic. I want to suggest that the topic should be clearly focused. So it's important to let the topic be clear, especially by pointing out the unit of analysis. I think Professor Abdallah mentioned this in passing about the topic seems to focus on the entire Nigerian. That's what part of what Professor Abdallah mentioned. So I think that has to be corrected, please. In the body of the presentation, the presenter mentioned youths and professionals. So you may want to consider either of the two groups. To even put the two groups in a presentation or in a research may be too much for proper management of data. So that's the first concern. It's about the topic. And that's taking us to the second concern. What is the gap that your study addressed? Because it is customary among intellectuals to base a research on a particular gap upon which data will be collected, and at the end of the day, there can be some contributions to knowledge. So I want to ask those two questions. What is the gap that the study addressed, and what are the contributions to knowledge from this your study? And thirdly, when you were presenting, there was a slide on begging questions. What do you mean by begging questions? Are you referring to research questions? So I think the use of begging question should be reconsidered. And I want to suggest that the focus should be on research questions instead of begging questions. And when you look at those three questions you specified, each of those questions need to be clarified. The first one, you said, why are so many Nigerians, particularly youth and professionals, choosing to leave? This question is bogus. So if the focus is on youth, let that question be on youth. If the focus is on professionals, let that question be on professionals. Do not put different unit of analysis together in a question. So that will give your study a clear focus. Okay. Then the second question, you said, what does this mean for our economy, social structure, and our place on the global stage? These are different issues that have different methodological implications. If you want to focus the implication on economy, stay with economy, because social structure is different from economy, and a study of this nature cannot address all issues simultaneously. So please take note of that, because I suggest you need to unpack and repack this presentation in order to clearly articulate what the gaps are and what are the contributions to knowledge. And on the third questions, you said, what are the implications of the migration trend, both for the present and for the future of Nigeria? That is also problematic. And it is advisable to focus on established facts. What are the facts and figures? You did mention that you have expertise in economics. Maybe you may want to consider econometric analysis of the migration trend. Maybe migration of professionals. Want to look at the econometric analysis of that. You want to build scenario from hard statistics that's available. I think Professor Abdallah also mentioned this, that there's need for you to provide reliable data to be able to justify the position. He was trying to say that speculation should be minimized as much as possible. And finally, I did not hear any mention of method of data collection, because even if it's going to be in one sentence, it will be of interest for this audience to know the method adopted for collection of data. I did not hear anything about theoretical framework. Okay, so please, if possible, take note of this. If possible, as you amend or as you convert your presentation into a publishable paper. And finally, the conclusion, there's a disconnect in the conclusion you presented and the focus of the study. At some point, the presentation was sounding like an advocacy. So thank you very much. The intention for pointing out this concern is to assist in making relevant corrections. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for your contribution, Professor Akinwale. I'm sure our presenter is noting those things. And so quickly, let's take Dr. Sukana Dajuma. Sorry, I hope I pronounced your name well. So over to you, sir.
Yes, thank you very much for this opportunity. Let me congratulate the Center of Excellence in Migration and Global Studies, National Open University of Nigeria, under your able leadership. I don't know if you can all hear me, please.
Yes, you are audible.
Okay, thank you so much. So let me first and foremost congratulate the Center of Excellence in Migration and Global Studies, National Open University of Nigeria, under your able leadership, Professor Grace Oyahumen Aneto, for this wonderful, creating this
Gloria
wonderful.
is the name.
Professor Gloria Oyahumen Aneto. Thank you so much. And let me say a very big well done to the presenter, who is a senior member of the institute, which I sit as the registrar. That is the presenter, Okoliko Emmanuel Ojonugwa. We are very, very proud of him in this very institute. And I want to salute him for a wonderful job well done. And I also request that he takes note of all the corrections observed by respected academics, who have spoken before me. And let me say in my own little contribution that the government, I wish that at the end of this program, we can have a communique. We can come up with a communique so that the government will understand most of these persons that are going out of the country is not every one of them that just want to be millionaires overnight, but all they need is a kind of enabling atmosphere where they can be able to thrive. The first professor who spoke pointed out that from what we see, most of these Nigerians who are involved in this Japa syndrome and the rest, check where they live outside the country. Most of them do not even have befitting accommodations as they do in the country here. But why do they still have to go out there? Because in the country where they are, in their own country here, which is Nigeria, there is no enabling environment where they can be able to get these basic necessities of life. I think if every Nigerian, if we can have so many Nigerians having access to basic necessities of life, they have good shelter, they have access to good medical care, education, and the rest of them, I don't think this will be a serious problem as it is today. So this is my little contribution. Once again, Professor Gloria Oyahumen Aneto, director of this wonderful center, well done, and well done. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your contribution, sir. And I think finally now is Professor Tijani to make his own comments.
Thank you very much. Unfortunately, the man with the vision just left. And of course, the man with the mission is still here. That is between Professor Adamu and myself. I think we both are very proud about what the center has become. For the record, there was a vision. In a leap year, 2020, there was a call on that Friday afternoon by the visionary, who was the vice chancellor. And then the The vision of that visionary was given life and blood, and today we are still talking. I will start from the rear by answering the last speaker that indeed there are enabling environments across Africa, in all parts of the world. Migration is a global phenomenon. And I want you to listen very, very carefully. Migration is a global phenomenon. Even within the almighty United States, we still have people that are jackpying. You just have to do your research, both ethnographic research and collect the data. I put check marks on 4 areas that I will not stress concerning this paper: data collection, case studies. Where do you belong, Mr. Presenter? Are you for or against migration? Okay, you can speak to that. But let me state that it is a global phenomenon. And I love the fact that we have someone in the Department of Business Administration, a young scholar, an early career scholar, presenting, having the audacity to add knowledge. And I believe we've all learned from his perspective. Of course, you have a lot of work to do in terms of making it a publishable paper, because presentation is different from the writing. And even writing for a journal article is different from a dissertation or thesis. I'm saying this for context because I've been getting that in some of the reviews that we do. There's a way to write, and I think we should have a workshop. We should have a workshop on this to really begin to mentor our folks. Professor Aneto, I thank you for acknowledging me the first time we started. I think I was number 3 to sign in. You called me, but I couldn't respond. Why? Because I am in the country of Equatorial Guinea as a U.S. Fulbright Fellow, and I was presenting another workshop on pedagogy, research, and mentoring at the new university. It's only a 4-year-old university, Afro-American University of Central Africa. And some of these things we're talking about, if you look at this particular university, if you're doing a case studies, I can write a whole paper about migration using the case studies, or sectoral analysis predicated on both qualitative and quantitative. Because at this new university, you have people from Singapore, from Equatorial Guinea, from Cameroon, from Nigeria, from several places. They migrated, okay? So the paper should contextualize some of the things that were mentioned by the previous comments, by the previous scholars, to enrich it and make it much more beyond narratives of the issue. Lastly, I will like you to revisit your conclusion. And that is why I was asking that question: where do you belong? You castigated from your presentation, and I may be wrong, the whole idea of migration that people just japa and what have you, yet you praise foreign inflow of hard currency. Nigeria, of course, is your case study. But also beyond the concept of japa, there is japada, there is jalo. And I think this will be the 3rd time I'll be saying this at this platform. And when the time is right, hopefully at the conference that is coming up in February, I will explain more those missing links between Japa and Jalo. Let me round up by saying that even those of us that venture to return, we were castigated. I'm a case study for anybody that is interested. I returned to Nigeria 2011, and I was called an American. I do not have a house in Nigeria. Go and check out. And I do not have more than one wife. That is why I wanted the visioner, but I know he was just joking. But for the record, I do not. But I have so many houses, so many wives. Guess what? Those are my mentees. Those are the people that I invested, and it's on that cash, hard currency inflow. A few of us are doing that. How many of us will do that? How many of us will dare come back, leave that huge, so-called huge salary? But I think it's a contest of the state of the mind and a way of life. Okay? So, but it is something that we must historicize, we must critically look into. We cannot generalize. And it's on that basis that I would like to also thank you for sharing knowledge. For me, I have learned. My next workshop at AUCA, Afro-American University of Central Africa in Equatorial Guinea, comes up in another 1 hour. It's been a busy in the last 2 weeks, but I thank you for this opportunity to learn from the presenter, Emmanuel. Our God is indeed good. Emmanuel, thank you.
Thank
you very much.
Thank you very much, Prof.
Thank you for that contribution. I'm sure our presenter has also gained from these contributions, and I'll give him a few minutes now. Let me give you another 5-10 minutes maximum to put your comments across for these comments and questions. Over to you, Mr. Presenter.
Thank you very much, Prof. Thank you very much, Center of Excellence in Migration and Global Studies. I must say that I am the biggest gainer in this conversation. I'm the biggest gainer here. I want to begin from there. I have the privilege of listening to my former Vice Chancellor, Professor Abdallah, bear his mind and try to restructure the course of action. I'm so impressed listening to Professor Akim, and I must commend so much the effort of the mentor of mentors. He has been mentoring people when as regards migration issues. He has been a very serious mentor. We sat down keenly to listen to him recently during the workshop. And I must say, Professor Tijani, I am glad listening to you and taking comments from you this afternoon. So I want to reiterate that I am the biggest gainer here for the opportunity to listen to erudite scholars, seasoned mentors, and I am a mentee in this conversation and this experience. I want to say that all the comments raised here are going to add value to my presentations going forward. They're going to add value to my paper going forward. That, of course, will also not prevent me from mentioning briefly that I had a perspective to the presentation. And the presentation is a review paper. And this review paper is intended to be a review paper, which is basically based on literature review. So it's as a result, it's flowing, it's not an empirical study, but actually based in literature, a review paper. I am learning, Professor Tijani, I'm learning, and I'm picking a lot from here, and I stand to be corrected But my intention is to produce a review paper, which is based on review of existing literatures, actually, but not an empirical paper, because I understand that we have different approaches to writing various papers, various articles for various publications. Again, I am doing a presentation here. Also, my perspective or my perception of what is going to all look like is to speak to the argument based on the review conducted already, on existing literatures, then make a presentation to drive home an argument. That is why those items where we find, research questions, methodology, hypotheses, all of that, which form part of the outline, the structure for the structured academic paper, are not here, but it is just prepared like a paper for presentation and a summary from all that we have, with the view to producing the actual paper for publication. So in the paper for publication, all the comments here will be captured, will be incorporated into it, and then it will be prepared in line with convention as it is in the academy. That's my intention. So whatever I've presented this morning is just the few minutes I'm given to summarize whatever I feel is my perspective or my findings on this conversation, on this topic, to drive home my argument. That's my position. Then, while appreciating all our comments, I also want to promise that I'm going to carry out more studies, particularly with reference to the suggestions of Professor Abdallah, that there is need for a live interview. I think I will incorporate that into it, so that I will now conduct some interviews, interact with people abroad. According to what he said, which I know we agree, because Professor Tijani is also not in agreement, that we also get the feel of what it is today, not just what people have said before, but what it is today, the experiences of these persons in diaspora today. Are they happy? Are they not happy? And that will be matched into, incorporated into the final paper that will be presented at last for the presentation. So when I chose to use that language, begging question, I want to apologize to the academic community if it is if I've committed a crime, but I just, it's personal. I deliberately decided to just use the word begging question because I am just doing the presentation. But in the paper, it will come as research questions, objectives and all of that. They will come in that order. That's how it's going to come. So I want to sincerely appreciate my mentors, professors, seasoned scholars who have contributed to my work and my presentation this morning, and to appreciate the center for this opportunity to make this presentation. Thank you very much, Prof. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Koliko. And let me quickly add, it's good that you want to put in some of this qualitative data, especially what Professor Abdallah suggested. It will make your work better, more robust. And I also want you to take note that, yes, remittances come in. You have to look at that angle. It's a big advantage. And then we now wonder, does it, when they come in, are they well utilized? Are they used for what they are meant to be used for? Has it made the people actually richer that have those remittances? Does the country, because the country takes its own interest from these remittances. So it's not only for, if you were there, you sent money to your parents, they tax it seriously. So all this angle, what happens to all these taxes? Are they well utilized? Is it falling into the hands of corruption? And so we are back to square one. Just look at it at that angle, so that you really, like one of the commentators, and one of the, I think is Dr. So sorry if I forget Dr. Sukana said he was trying to say that, well, he agreed with what you have said, but another person said you should take a stance. Are you for, are you against, or you are neither for nor against, but you are critiquing what is happening? So you can fall into anyone depending on how it arises. You must make your stance known. So to remember to put all these comments, as part of what you will really build into your paper. And of course, we are here, we are waiting. We are always waiting to give your paper a wonderful peer review so that it can come out in our next issue of publication for our journal. So thank you so much. And I say, yes.
May I quickly
good
say something?
attendance.
Yes, may I quickly say something?
Over 50. Yeah, okay, so over 50, I'll give you a chance. We had over 50. So I must say, Mr. Koliko did a good advocacy with his people, if I will put it that way. Permit me to use that word, at least a good publicity, I would say. That's the right word for this presentation, because we rely on the presenters to also reach out to many of their contacts so that they can have a relatively good attendance. And today we had about 51 or 52 at a point. Now I know we are now about 45. So, and that was quite good. And I want to tell the next presenters to please also try to reach out to people so that more people will come to this platform to listen to it. And of course, we've already posted our social media links. We put there our Facebook, and you look at these charts. You can look at our Facebook is there, LinkedIn, YouTube, and of course, the website for this center. Please go where to, to check on those sites that you have put there so that you know more about this center and about what we do, and, and enjoy some of the past presentations that you missed. And of course, also get ready to be part of us by presenting on this platform. Thank you so much. So let me just give a Prof 1 minute, Professor Tijani, sir, to air your views lastly. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think you mentioned the first one. I'm impressed about the attendance. The marks was 51. It came to a low of 47. And then in between, you have 49, then you have 46 now. That is quite encouraging, and I was quite happy about that. Advocacy, if you're presenting within your circle, is very, very important. To the more important one for the presenter, I think you mentioned that your attempt today is to give us a kind of a review paper. If that is the case, which is also publishable, then you need to do a serious identification of publications, okay? Whether country focus, regional focus, or the continent. And then you can come up with a serious analysis of the state of knowledge. That is one paper right there. You can eloquently, succinctly do that. The other paper arising from your presentation today must be empirical. In other words, you can do sectoral. Sectoral meaning that you want to look at education. You are a staff of NOUN. How many of your people have returned? Why are they not returning? Okay? You can look at education. And then you go to Polytechnic Bida, you go to University of Lagbaja, go to University of Emmanuel, go to all of this. TED fund sponsored. You can pick that and do a serious academic, unbiased, objective analysis. So those are the kind of things we want to see, as you look into the future. Okay? And I congratulate you again. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Prof.
Okay. Thank you very much, Professor Tijani. And I want to say I thank all of you that have come here to make this presentation interesting, because without you all, then we won't be here. Thank you. And those of you who have not presented on this platform, just show your interest through your email, through your WhatsApp to the director, and consider it done. So we are looking forward to more presenters on issues of migration and global studies. And Mr. Koliko, I thank you so much for coming up. At least, like I expected, you were going to do something good, and it was really good, a good one. Thank you. And thank you all for being part of today. On this note, I want to say bye-bye to everyone. and wish you pleasant day. Thank you and bye.